The magnificent red and white Saturn V-REX spaceship cruises incredibly smoothly amidst the breathtaking blue nebulas of the vast, endless galaxy. Inside the perfectly pressurized cockpit, the tiny engineer Grog dozes peacefully on the heavy leather-upholstered pilot seat. The pure white daisy on top of his polished bronze diving helmet sways incredibly gently with his steady, rhythmic breathing. The giant mechanical titan is diligently and busily applying drops of lubricating oil directly to his highly rusty mechanical arm joints. Meanwhile, the mighty dinosaur Lord Rexy is completely engrossed in playing with tiny plastic bricks in a quiet corner of the cockpit. A highly bizarre, unusual crunching and chewing sound suddenly and completely echoes from behind the ship's solid metal wall. Grog instantly snaps his printed eyes wide open, intensely furrowing his brow and looking completely around the cockpit with extreme suspicion and high alert. Titan immediately halts absolutely all maintenance activities, his glowing trans-neon green eyes flashing sharply to highly analyze the current. The giant robot's highly sensitive mechanical ears quickly rotate entirely toward the noise to precisely pinpoint the origin of the mysterious sound. The aggressive sound of chewing on the plastic hull continues completely steadily, accompanied by incredibly joyful and highly satisfying smacking noises. Titan immediately activates the central monitoring screen, connecting directly to the advanced security camera system mounted entirely outside the ship's hull. On the massive, cinematic panoramic screen, directly at the rear radiator fin area, a pristine white object is clinging tightly to the cold metal surface. It is a tiny, perfectly round barnacle creature with a beautiful light pink core, entirely covered by incredibly soft, highly fluffy fringed tentacles. This bizarre, hungry creature is enthusiastically using its tiny mouth to aggressively chew straight through the ship's highly valuable white thermal paint. Tiny plastic dust particles fly violently from its bites, sparkling brilliantly and beautifully in the freezing, absolute zero-gravity vacuum of space. Grog jumps completely out of his pilot seat, his glossy yellow plastic face entirely losing its color at this absolutely blatant, terrifying destruction. That is the incredibly precious and highly expensive thermal hull plating he spent countless hours flawlessly upgrading for the spaceship. The tiny engineer wildly waves his short yellow arms, strictly signaling that they must immediately go out into space to absolutely eradicate this invader. Grog and Rexy quickly prepare themselves, carefully and tightly wrapping incredibly sturdy, heavy gray safety ropes directly around their plastic hips. The heavy airlock door slowly and highly laboriously opens, violently releasing thick, incredibly misty clouds of white steam directly into the freezing void. Grog and Rexy slowly step completely outside, their physical bodies peacefully floating in the deeply dark, absolute. Inside the cockpit, Titan stands like an absolute mountain at the glass window, using his giant mechanical hands to firmly secure the heavy safety ropes. Grog arms himself entirely with a standard gray plastic broom, while Rexy tightly holds a tiny shovel to properly. They carefully and slowly advance straight toward the rear of the ship, where the furry invader is still. Hearing the strange approaching noises, the barnacle creature immediately completely stops chewing and sharply turns entirely around. It looks up with its massive, highly sparkling, innocent black eyes, staring completely at the two uninvited guests with pure, profound curiosity. The tiny creature beautifully tilts its perfectly round head, letting out an incredibly adorable, completely irresistible whining sound directly into the cosmic void. Its beautifully soft, pristine tentacles gently tremble with every single rhythm, radiating an absolutely bizarre, entirely undeniable, and highly hypnotic charm. Rexy immediately completely drops the tiny shovel, his printed eyes instantly and miraculously transforming entirely into two giant pink hearts. The almighty, fearless dinosaur lord is completely and utterly defeated, feeling this tiny, furry creature is just too incredibly cute and highly fragile to hurt. Grog shakes his head absolutely furiously, aggressively pointing his tiny, plastic finger directly at the ugly, highly jagged bite marks, completely destroying the hull. The fiercely determined engineer steps closer, aggressively swinging his gray plastic broom back and forth to completely and violently shoo the furry creature away. The agile Barnacle easily dodges to the side, then playfully latches entirely onto another spot on the hull and continues completely carelessly chewing the paint. The tiny creature's pure, unquestionable stubbornness makes Grog incredibly furious. He violently swings the plastic broom significantly harder and much faster. Suddenly, the Barnacle uses a highly powerful jump, leaping high and violently clinging directly onto Grog's highly polished bronze diving helmet. Grog completely panics, flailing his tiny plastic limbs, wildly and rapidly spinning entirely in circles in zero gravity to forcefully shake the sticky parasite off. Watching this highly ridiculous, hilarious scene, Rexy absolutely cannot contain himself. His glass dome visibly shakes with entirely silent, prehistoric laughter. The Barnacle suddenly completely releases Grog's helmet, flying rapidly through the vacuum and sticking flawlessly right in the middle of Rexy's transparent glass. Rexy violently flinches, staring directly and intensely into the massive, incredibly sparkling eyes entirely pressed up against his transparent face. The tiny parasite highly gently rubs its pristine white tentacles directly against the cold glass, displaying an incredibly adorable, entirely affectionate obedience. A furiously angry Grog violently flies over, fully intending to aggressively grab the Barnacle and throw it straight into the freezing, absolute cosmic void. But instantly, the Barnacle completely wraps its soft, fluffy tentacles tightly around Rexy's short plastic claws, whining incredibly and highly pitifully. Rexy's absolute animal-loving heart completely melts. He aggressively pushes Grog entirely away, silently begging him to entirely forgive. Grog violently mimes in absolute sheer panic, frantically warning that this incredibly greedy creature will literally eat their entire highly valuable spaceship alive. Rexy strictly thumps his heavy chest, making an absolute, unquestionable promise to watch it carefully, then highly gently uses the shovel to scoop the Barnacle completely off the hull. Feeling entirely helpless against Rexy's fierce protection, a heavily defeated Grog strictly signals Titan to pull the safety ropes entirely back inside the ship. The incredibly meticulous engineer carefully and highly girafely checks the jagged bite marks on the hull one completely final time before safely entering the airlock. Right while floating directly in front of the heavy airlock door, Rexy stealthily entirely looks back to ensure his best friend is absolutely not paying attention. Completely taking advantage of Grog's utter distraction, Rexy incredibly quickly uses his tiny claws to violently pull open the tan brick section of his massive belly. The Dinosaur highly skillfully stuffs the perfectly round Barnacle completely deep inside his hollow plastic belly, snapping it totally shut with an incredibly loud clack. A few pristine white tentacles accidentally poke directly out of the plastic gap, forcing a completely panicked Rexy to clumsily and frantically shove them entirely back in. The team finally safely and entirely steps completely into the cockpit as the heavy airlock violently slams shut, flawlessly restoring absolute normal pressure and temperature. Grog breathes a massive sigh of sheer relief, wiping the clear plastic sweat from his forehead, highly smugly thinking he permanently eradicated the hated pest. Titan respectfully nods his mechanical head in absolute agreement, turning completely back to the central control screen to flawlessly pilot the highly advanced spaceship. Rexy clumsily waddles straight toward the corner of the ship, his highly unnatural gait becoming incredibly stiff and completely bizarre due to his currently massive, bulging belly. Suddenly, an incredibly tiny, highly suspicious squeaking noise echoes completely and directly from the dinosaur's heavily swollen tan plastic belly. Grog instantly and violently whips his head completely around, intensely furrowing his brow and staring directly at Rexy with highly extreme, unquestionable suspicion. A completely panicked Rexy fakes highly aggressively rubbing his heavy tan belly, vigorously miming extreme hunger to absolutely prove it was just his stomach fiercely rumbling. As the cosmic night perfectly falls, the internal lighting system automatically and completely shifts to an incredibly calm, deeply silent, and entirely soothing dark blue. Entirely taking advantage of his friends being completely asleep, Rexy incredibly carefully and highly stealthily completely pops open his heavy plastic belly compartment. The barnacle creature instantly flawlessly floats completely out, its entire round body radiating an incredibly magical, highly comforting, and entirely beautiful light pink glow. The incredibly kind-hearted dinosaur gently takes a tiny white plastic brick straight from the leftover food pile. The barnacle happily accepts and enthusiastically chews the plastic scrap, incredibly deliciously, completely forgetting about the entirely tempting external hull plating outside. The very next morning, as the brilliant, dazzling cosmic rays completely illuminate the cabin, Grog is absolutely stunned by the highly pristine sight inside the cockpit. Absolutely all the plastic and heavy metal details completely surrounding the main dashboard have magically become incredibly, completely polished and entirely spotless. Even the incredibly stubborn, heavy rust spots entirely on Titan's copper arms have vanished without a single trace, beautifully replaced by absolute, flawless cleanliness. Grog completely silently observes and is absolutely shocked to discover the barnacle flawlessly using its highly soft tentacles to perfectly polish. The tiny parasite is absolutely no longer destroying the hull. Instead, it is entirely eating useless plastic trash and flawlessly cleaning every single layer of cosmic dust. Grog smiles incredibly warmly, completely realizing that this tiny creature is absolutely not a destructive pest, but actually an incredibly highly effective and entirely valuable assistant. The highly relieved engineer happily completely approaches, gently extending his glossy yellow plastic hand to entirely pet the barnacle's incredibly, unbelievably soft furry tentacles. Rexy aggressively and highly happily jumps completely into the air in pure joy, incredibly relieved. He no longer absolutely has to stealthily hide his beloved pet inside his belly. The giant mechanical titan flawlessly uses his entirely dexterous copper hands to highly carefully assemble a beautiful tiny bed using bouncy spring bricks completely in a warm corner. The adorable tiny bed instantly becomes a flawless home entirely for the barnacle. The majestic, entirely massive Saturn V-REX continuously completely glides through the endless void, its outer hull now flawlessly polished and entirely sparkling under the brilliant starlight. The completely delighted barnacle latches tightly onto the absolute top of Grog's bronze helmet, looking exactly like a highly decorative, unbelievably cute, fluffy pom-pom. The three incredible friends entirely and happily enjoy a deeply rare, perfectly peaceful moment, silently admiring the completely endless, dazzling beauty of the universe through the massive windshield. The entire enclosed cockpit atmosphere is completely and entirely filled with absolute warmth and incredible joy, flawlessly erasing all heavy exhaustion from their highly dangerous, tense cosmic adventures. The entirely unexpected arrival of the incredibly adorable furry creature has completely brought a refreshing new cosmic breeze, flawlessly transforming the freezing mechanical spaceship into a genuine, truly loving home. The highly cinematic widescreen camera slowly, completely, and peacefully pulls away from the cruising spaceship, leaving entirely behind an incredibly heartwarming, flawlessly beautiful story about absolute friendship and pure cosmic kindness. Several pristine, flawlessly white soft tentacles entirely accidentally fall from the Barnacle, incredibly gently floating and peacefully dancing in the absolutely breathtaking. They completely automatically drift together and perfectly connect in an incredibly highly magical way, flawlessly forming the brilliant final episode text entirely floating among thousands of bright stars. The pure white, incredibly glowing text completely sparkles brilliantly for a few short, deeply peaceful seconds before slowly entirely fading away, perfectly making way for the absolutely infinite. The entirely majestic, completely breathtaking cosmic view violently and flawlessly snaps to absolute pitch black, perfectly preparing for an incredibly highly brief but absolutely familiar cosmic appearance. The completely legless, completely black ant, Zippy magically flashes directly onto the perfectly blank, pure black background, miraculously carrying another absolutely adorable, incredibly tiny barnacle entirely on his back. Zippy completely bravely and aggressively holds up the glowing red and white sign, unleashing a tiny, highly energetic squeak before entirely and flawlessly vanishing forever straight into the vast,